I'm very pleased to be interviewing Mike McGuirre, who's Vice President, MSA Media, and Eric Bartko, who's Senior Marketing Research Manager, Business Analysis, also at MSA. Thank you both for your time today.
Sure, you're welcome.
So let's start with each of your backgrounds. How did you get to where you are today? Who would like to start?
Go ahead, Mike. So I've been at MSA for 20 plus years, all of that in the media division. I started off working with our post-buy group, which many people in this industry are familiar with. We do the post-buy reports for just about all the cable networks. And from there, just started developing other businesses within media, the largest of which is ad sales traffic and billing system, Gabriel, which we started building in the early 90s. We've been working on that and extending the client base since then. And then for the last 3 years or so, we've been doing a growing amount of analytic and research work for various clients in the media industry, along the lines of the shift from program live to C3 and helping them understand that data and just evolving that further and further just to try and help them make better decisions with the data they have available.
And Eric?
And then I've been with MSA for about 10 years, and for the first 7, 8 years, actually, I worked with more CPG clients on marketing mix type modeling, pricing analysis, etc. And then, as Mike just said, in the last 2, 3 years, we started to apply and evolve some of those techniques into the media world, specifically with the availability of more granular data, set-top box, C3, etc.
So Eric, you mentioned set-top box data. Exactly what type of work is MSA doing with set-top box data at this time?
Currently, we are more on the research end. We've worked with some of the providers, but nothing specific as far as the granular. We're working more with the second-by-second aggregated data versus what we would like to get into, which is the transactional type data. Possibly Mike can elaborate a little bit on his end.
Mike, you had mentioned that there was some work that MSA was doing with set-top box data. Could you give us more detail?
Sure. I mean, way back in 2000, which is very early on, actually, relative to the work that's going on today, we had done some work with a local supermarket chain in Pittsburgh where MSA is based, and the local MSO there, and married together some of that data. But given the technology that was available at that time, the world just wasn't quite ready for utilizing that data, to do addressable advertising or targeting their promos and so forth. And then more recently, we've been doing just some exploratory work of what could we do with that data in terms of, improving posting for smaller networks or even larger networks at more granular levels to help them better understand, their total audience instead of just focusing on the traditional age, sex demographics that have been utilized in the industry for forever.
So Mike, did advertisers or the MSO use the results of this study that you did in the early 2000s?
Probably not. They didn't apply to their businesses at that time. I think there were a lot of interesting insights of what eventually was going to be possible once the infrastructure allowed them to get there, along the lines of what's starting to be done today. Better targeting the ads at specific segments, or from a promotional perspective, of better targeting promotions for specific programs and more likely audience instead of so broad-based, as well as just trying to get a better handle on more granular levels of understanding of the difference, or the impact of advertising relative to other mechanisms that a products company has of driving sales of their product. So there were some interesting learnings there. Along the lines, MSA also was the processor of all the Apollo data from the Apollo project, and in addition to processing that and doing some of the basic reporting, also did a lot of analytics for various of the partners of that project to help them understand the impacts on sales of the advertising versus their own promotions and pricing and so forth.